Welcome to Mahjong for Beginners, Part 2, Scoring and Strategy. In Mahjong for Beginners, Part 1, we talked about the tiles, setup, and basic play. You can check out this video on Naperville Public Library's YouTube channel. This time, for Part 2, we will talk about scoring and more advanced strategy. Scoring. Thinking about the points you can score from different combinations of tiles adds an extra dimension to the game. In this program, we'll introduce scoring by using a combination of established international rules and house rules. These rules are less complicated than official competitive scoring. The general rule to remember is that higher scores are awarded for less probable hands. This concept will be familiar to those of you who play poker, where less probable hands are better than more probable ones. Here's the scoring guide we will use for this program. As mentioned earlier, this is based partly on established international rules and partly on house rules. Know that different groups that you play with will likely have their own house rules, so their method of scoring may be different. For official rules, you can look up on the internet Mahjong primary competition rules for a simplified version of rules with a maximum of 24 points, or International Chinese Mahjong with a maximum of 88 points online. Remember that with scoring, only the winning player who has declared Mahjong may score points. In the official competition rules, a game of Mahjong can consist of 16 hands. After all 16 hands are complete, point totals are calculated. For our non-competitive play, we will play 3 hands and total up the points from those 3 rounds to declare the winner. General strategy. This involves flexibility, planning, and timing. With flexibility, that means you need to aim for certain hands or categories of hands, while also being open to other opportunities that may appear as the game progresses. Flexibility is key. A hand that can win with 3 different tiles is better than a hand that needs a specific tile to win. Planning. You can plan for some points more than others based on the tiles you see discarded, claimed, or melded by others. Timing. You also need to keep in mind that a higher scoring hand will take a longer time to assemble than a lower scoring hand. It may be better to simply declare Mahjong and win rather than to go for a hand with a higher number of points and lose. This is especially true if you think that another player is also close to declaring Mahjong. Here is some more advanced strategy to think about: managing your discards, melding, and discarding defensively. Let's start with managing your discards. When starting a game of Mahjong, you usually want to keep pairs, potential pongs, and potential chows. You want to discard single wind and dragon tiles that aren't worth extra points and also can't be part of a chow. The next tiles you should discard are the 1 and 9 tiles. These are known as terminal tiles. These tiles can be used in chows, but only in one specific chow, such as 1, 2, 3, or 7, 8, 9. 2s and 8s are also less flexible than the unconnected tiles 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These middle tiles offer the most options for your hand in terms of forming chows, so they are valuable single tiles to hold on to. Melding. Considering when to meld and avoid doing so too soon. Melding a hand restricts your options, especially if you meld too early. When you meld, you lock yourself into using that set in your hand, and you might find out on a following turn that a tile that you're counting on is unavailable. In that case, it's impossible to switch gears and aim for a different winning hand. Melding also reveals your hand to other players. After seeing the tiles you have, players may choose not to discard tiles they may think may be useful to you. As the game proceeds and players become closer to declaring Mahjong, it's important to discard defensively. This means that you try not to discard a tile that will let your opponent win. You can try to figure out what a safe discard is by looking at the tiles already discarded. The more copies of a tile being discarded, the safer it is for you to dispose of. Remember that a tile giving a player a winning hand can be claimed from any player, so the more recently a tile has been discarded, the more likely it is that it's safe to discard. You'll also want to look at the tiles your opponents have melded in front of them, which will give you a sense of what hands they are trying to build. Keep in mind that chows can only be called from a player's left-hand opponent, which may give you a sense of whether a tile is safe to discard. Finally, by looking at the discard pile, you can get a sense of whether other players are collecting certain suits. For example, deep into the game, if you don't see any bamboo tiles, multiple players are probably collecting bamboos. Let's walk through some of the rounds of play to see these strategies in action. We'll start by looking at the hands that we receive when we first start Mahjong and thinking about which tiles to discard.
So Wei Li is starting off with a great hand. Here you can see that she has character tiles already in sequence, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. She also has a pair that's ready to go, a pair of 80,000 or 8 yuan. She's also in good shape with the other 2 sets. She has a pair of 2s and a 7 and a 9 of circles. So right now it looks like the tiles that she should focus on discarding are the single tiles. So that would be the south wind as well as the 3 circles. And she would look to discard the 3 circles because there's such a big jump between the 3 and the 7 of circles. So my hand is okay. It's not as good as Wei Li's, but there's room to work with it. So I'm starting out with certain incomplete sets, like with the character tiles, the 3 and 4 can be in a set. With the bamboos, there could possibly be 2 sets. I have 1 pair already, and then I have a few single tiles that I'd look to discard first. So that would be the green dragon, the east wind, and the 8 of circles. So Maisie's hand is also kind of a mixed bag. There are some really good things about it. You can see that she drew a concealed pong of the east wind. She is also the dealer and the east wind in terms of her seat, so that would allow for extra points. She also has 3 different suits at play, the circles, the bamboos, and the characters. And it looks like there are potential sets that could be made, like a 7, 8, and 9 yuan, and maybe a 3, 4, and 5 of the bamboo. The 7 and 8 are close in sequence, as are the 3 and 4. So the characters that she would look to get rid of first are probably the 1 yuan and the 8, just because there's a gap between the 5 and the 8 that would be hard to make up for. Lindsay's hand is also a pretty good start. She has a run in the bamboos of the 1 and 2 and 6, 7, 8, and 9, so that's a good start. She also has 2 pairs going of the west wind and the 2 yuan. So the single tiles that she would look to get rid of first are the green dragon, the white dragon, and the 6.
Just as in the last Mahjong for Beginners video, we are playing with open hands for instructional purposes. Note that we are first discarding wind and dragon tiles for more flexible hands and more possible points. Throughout play, we'll discard suits tiles based on whether there are big gaps between possible sequences and based on how many of the tile we have. Here, Wei Li calls a pong from the 9 yuan, or 9 character that I discarded. Note that after she discards, play resumes counterclockwise. This means we have temporarily delayed Maisie's turn. Seeing if you want to skip someone is something to consider when you discard tiles or call pongs. Note that through calling pong multiple times, we keep skipping Lindsay's turn. This is something that can be strategically employed. To start a game of Mahjong, we draw wind tiles to see who goes first, wash tiles, and set up walls. By picking up the 7 yuan, or 7 character tile, Wei Li declares Mahjong. She has kept her hand flexible throughout the game so she can wait for multiple individual tiles to declare Mahjong. The tiles 7 character, 1 character, or 5 character would have all given Wei Li Mahjong. In this case, she picked up the 7 character, and that's what gave her Mahjong. Now let's score the winning hands. Let's look at Wei Li's winning hand. She has no winds or dragons, so that's 1 point, and she also has no terminals. In other words, she has no 1s or 9s, so that's another point. She also has a short straight. That's 2, 3, 4 of the character tiles and 5, 6, 7 of the character tiles. That's worth 3 points. So altogether, Wei Li has 5 points. Let's look at Joanne's winning hand. In terms of points, she only gets 2 points because she has no winds, dragons, or terminal tiles. Let's look at Joanne's second winning hand. Here, she has a Dragon Kong of the white dragon tiles. That's worth 2 points. She doesn't have any terminal tiles, meaning no 1s or 9s, so that's worth an extra point. And she has just 1 suit, including winds and dragons for other sets, so that's 3 points. So adding those points together, she has 6 points total. Now, considering the entire 3 rounds, we'll see that Joanne has 8 points total and Wei Li has 5 points total. So that means that Joanne is the big winner of today's Mahjong game.